Hey guys, Adam AKCSRadical here. I just wanted to make a quick video on something that I saw recently that I really don't like and I want to kind of talk about a lot more seriously. I mean, normally I try to have a little bit of joke in some of these things and try to have a little bit more of a, I guess, boisterous voice to this. I really can't talk about this without putting my serious face on. So I want to talk about something that I saw recently about potential changes on Twitter, that being what's being called conversation control. And it's something that I completely understand the reasoning as to probably why it exists. I mean, as you can see here, the idea is that, it's something that you can customize who can reply to it. And that makes sense from the standpoint of trying to eliminate things like harassment. I totally get that. The problem is as simple as that sounds, the ramifications of a tool like this can only make things worse because the echo chambering that we already see in various other places are not the kind of thing that we need to be having here on Twitter. And this is just my opinion. I'm not saying it's the right opinion. This is just how I feel personally. I have one of my closer friends, talk to me and say how, I disagree. I think this is actually a really good tool, and I talked about, well, again, like Twitter is like basically like a public space. So to suddenly eliminate the chance of a dialogue or somebody be able to defend themselves or argue with something seems like pointless. And the comment was, well, this isn't a public space. And that's where we get into the conversation of, okay, is Twitter actually a public space? And I mean, they can probably sit here and tell you that it's not. I don't know what Twitter's official stance on it is today because it seems like everything changes all the time with these things. This is my general opinion. If you post something to Twitter, everyone can see it. So at that point, it's in the public space. So as soon as you eliminate the potential for certain people to comment, it's the same vein that I really don't like it when people remove comments on YouTube. It's if you're going to post something that you feel is so controversial or can elicit negative reactions from people, then you have to understand that there's a ramification to doing that. I'm not saying that every single person that posts something to YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Tumblr, I'm not saying that everything gets posted to any of these services is completely controversial and is going to elicit criticism or harassment, because there are just people that if somebody posts a picture of themselves, people will just harass the shit out of them. Like, I understand that that's a thing that happens, right? The problem is that if you make it out there out in the open and suddenly people can't talk about it, what's the point? I mean, as a creator, I could never understand clicking the one option that says community conversation, which means that only people that I follow or that are mentioned in the tweet can talk, can respond to it. Because if I have fans, if I post something and my fans want to say something nice back to me, they can't do it. So as a fan, if I read somebody's tweet and I wanted to say, oh, that's so cool, thank you so much for sharing that, or adding something to the conversation that isn't negative, and I can't do it, like, how does that make me feel as a fan? It makes me feel like I don't matter, right? So my process, even from a creator standpoint, is why would you want to post something that most people can't react to? That seems wrong. I know that you can retweet and comment potentially. I know that you can screenshot the tweet and then put your comments in, but the person that made the tweet isn't going to be able to see it if they don't look for it, for that matter. And then at the same time, by invitation conversation, you know what? The invitation conversation makes sense because it means it's a tweet that you can have within like a certain select people of friends that you want to talk to. So if you want to do like, if instead of having DMs and having to like group it together, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, there are other options. I think you could still use like a Discord or something like that. But if you want to do it through Twitter, I mean, that's a nice option. But the second that it's like only people that I follow can comment on it, that's a little bit weird because most people that you probably follow don't respond to you either. Like, the way that at least I work with Twitter is that most of the people that I follow, I don't think would have the time of day to want to respond to anything I say. And this would even count if I was a much bigger person. I think it would still fall into that category. But I think the most key thing that just bothers me is if you're going to use something like this for conversation control, why is it just limited to comments? You know, I think it's even worse if you're going to do this in a manner where you actually can post things and people can't comment, but they can still see it. I would just, if you're going to do this stuff, I would rather you just say, okay, well, if I post this tweet, the only people that can see it are the people that I select or the people that I follow or whatever. Because at least then it's like saying, okay, I am posting something that I only want these specific people to say. But if you're posting something that you want everyone to see, but only a few people can comment on, that tells me that you are posting something that you know is going to elicit reactions and you don't want people to be able to change what you want. And I know this isn't going to be for every case, but my worry is that somebody can post something really controversial or really bad. Doesn't matter what side of the political debate we're talking. It could be somebody on the social justice left, or hell, let's just use the great example on the right, Donald fucking Trump. Trump could essentially post something, and no one, whether it's the media, whether it's people anybody who disagrees with him, can't comment on that post. So if Trump posts something, and let's say he doesn't follow anybody, if he posts something, no one can say anything about it. And I know that people are saying, well, you can just quote tweet it. It's like, guys, that's not the point. It's if you click a tweet, you can immediately see comments below it so you can see the reaction to it. So you can see how the public is reacting to something. It shows you what is the popular opinion about this comment. And to eliminate that, or to limit it in the case of people you follow, it means that the narrative can only be gone in one direction. If you post something that only your followers, or the people that you follow can attest to, you can just intentionally only have people that agree with you follow, or somebody you follow. I keep doing the other thing around, like it's like only your followers can do it, because no, that doesn't make any sense. You could post something and the only people that you follow are people that are going to agree with it. So anything you post, people can read it on Twitter and make it seem like nobody disagrees with what you're saying. That can be dangerous. Because again, I know people would just want to say, well, you need these kind of things. I'll just keep twisting the example around. Richard Spencer of the White Nationalists. If he can post something and no one can disagree with him, that's not a good thing. Donald Trump, if he says something that's really bad, because again, it's the example that so many people like to point at. If Trump can post something and nobody can say something negative about it, that's dangerous. Because again, Twitter is not something that's privatized. Like, it's not like this tweet is only viewable by 10 people. This isn't like a private Discord. This is available for everyone to see. So if the perceptions of stuff look positive the entire way, you can skew people's thoughts to being that, oh, this person said something, no one's disagreeing with it, so you know what, maybe that's the right opinion. That should never be what it is. And I know that there are people that use it and abuse Twitter when it comes to commenting, where they fake outrage or they just harass you endlessly for no apparent reason. I understand that that's a problem, but we already have things like the mute and the block button for that. So I don't see what conversation control actually does other than prevent people from creating a debate or a dialogue or any sort of criticism towards something. I know that that's not the only thing that will happen to it. Good things would come of a conversation control tool. I'm not denying that. But I look at the potential of misuse of this tool. And no matter any kind of good that can come out of this tool, the bad potential that I see outweighs it to me. And if you want to say that I'm just leaning more in the negative direction, then that's fine. I can understand that. But that's just how I look at it. I've seen what's happened over the last really 5 to 10 years. And when I see more stuff like this, I wouldn't call this censorship, but I would call it the inability to have a dialogue. And to me, that's dangerous. I don't agree with everything that people say, and most people don't agree with everything that I say. And it's that open dialogue that I appreciate, because it allows me to hear other opinions. It allows me to be criticized of things that I say that may actually be wrong. It's the point of that I want to be able to have the chance to be wrong and to be told that I'm wrong, so that I can eventually find my way to where I feel is the most right and continue to grow as a person. And that's what I've really done a lot in the last few years, where I skewed really far in one direction and have slowly kind of drifted to where I think I can take both sides into perspective. And that's where I'm at here. I totally understand what the tool can do when it comes to stopping harassment, to stopping, or at least a segment of harassment, because DMs and all this other stuff can still happen, direct tweeting and everything else. But that can prevent at least some of it. But the most important thing that I go on the other side is the abuse that this can create from people that don't want people to be able to criticize what they have to say when they know that what they're saying is extreme and what they're saying is potentially wrong. They may not think it's wrong, but in the public square, it should be. You know, you can say very hateful things, whether it's racist, sexist, homophobic, all that stuff, right? And you can post it up there. And if the only people that you follow are just as racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic, whatever you want to put out there, whatever extreme views, if the only people that you follow are have the same views as you, then that goes out for the public, and the only thing that people are saying in response is the exact same stuff. And again, I would read that and not think that it's the right opinion, but there are people out there that are on the fence with a lot of stuff. Like, let's not kid ourselves. There are a lot of people that can flip-flop, and are still capable of being flip-flopped, that are going to see stuff like that and think that it might be the right opinion because, well, nobody's saying anything different. That's the danger of it. And at the same time, there are certain things, too, that I've noticed in social media, and this is probably going to be the more unpopular thing I say here, but when we post, especially our personal lives and things, this is why I don't really post a lot of my personal stuff here on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, any of these sort of things. I don't really post much about my personal life because I don't think it, well, first of all, I don't think my personal life really means much to people. And this would count even if I only have 200 subscribers on YouTube. If I had 200,000, I still wouldn't be posting a lot of personal stuff because, again, I like to keep these things separate. If you're going to post a lot of things that are personal, I mean, there are always going to be people out there that are going to prey on shit like this. And hopefully that's what the mute and block button does. It at least keeps them away, but it doesn't always work because they'll just create another account. And that's kind of the reality of the way that social media has kind of become. I don't like it, but it's kind of the thing that, you can't just outright do these things like the conversation control does and just eliminate the potential of anybody saying anything. Because if you don't follow anybody, then nobody can comment on what you're saying. Like, basically, you can just have a burner account where you can post all this horrible shit and just not follow anybody, and no one can fucking touch it, but everybody has to read it. It's kind of dangerous like that, and I don't like that potential. Whether or not there's good that can come out of this, there's just so much bad that is potentially there on the horizon that I'm scared of and I'm worried about. But that's my thoughts on that. So that's going to do it for this little quick video. I apologize for the dark, serious little bit here, but it's something that has been bugging me for a while and I really wanted to talk about. So like the video if you enjoyed this, subscribe to the channel for more content. And if you got a comment on that, whether I'm right or wrong, I really don't care. I'm happy to hear any side of any opinion here. Post that in the comments below and tell me what you think, because if I'm maybe overreacting, then I'm overreacting, but I like to hear that so that I can figure out where I actually should be standing, because I'm always open to changing my mind on things. That's the way that this should be working. This is me stating what I think now, and if you guys think I should be thinking differently, try to convince me. That's just how this is supposed to work, and I appreciate that people would take the time to do that. So thanks again for checking this out, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.